Welcome to Making the Grade for our ninth grade STEM students. My name is Ms. Platt. I'm one of the healthcare science teachers. I teach Intro to Healthcare, Allied Health, and Sports Medicine, and I'm excited for all of you to begin STEM this year. I'm going to share some information with you about getting started so that you can remain as stress-free as possible and just give you some good tips to help you get going. So one thing that is important to recognize is that transitioning, from middle school to high school can be very different. And it's not just from middle school to high school, but especially going from middle school to STEM because we're at an increased pace beyond what the normal high school does. So some changes you might see are less rote memorization, where you have a list of things that you need to define and then just regurgitate that information. What we want you to do is learn how to apply the knowledge that you've learned, and that way you can apply it to other classes or other principles and get deeper into the information. A lot of times, the information is expected not to just be presented to you from the teacher, but also be somewhat self-directed. And so you're going to be required to do some of the learning on your own and independently. A very important thing for STEM students is personal accountability. We much prefer to communicate with you as the student instead of going between the teachers and the parents, if at all possible. So we want you to feel comfortable coming and talking to us, asking us questions, and kind of being your own spokesperson. So if you're having issues, we want you to be able to come up and talk to us. Preferably, if you want to have your parents send emails, that's fine. But we would love to talk to you first. Late assignments, makeup work, and absences, all of that information will be shared with each teacher specifically. We do have a unified late assignment / makeup work policy that will be in the syllabus from each of your teachers, and so you can reference that. Time management is going to be huge this year. You're going to have a lot more on your plate than you've been used to in middle school. Many students say that they've never had to study until they became a STEM student. And so it's important that you manage your chaos and not let the chaos manage you. Because if you keep things under control, then you're not going to feel overwhelmed. A great idea is to go ahead and invest in a planner or get really comfortable using the calendar on your phone or on the Chromebook or whatever device you're going to be using. Another important thing is to schedule everything. So that might sound kind of ridiculous, but you need to map out your whole day. So are you going to spend 30 minutes here doing homework, or are you going to have to go to band practice or football practice or cheer practice or whatever it might be? Do you have plans to go to church activities? Do you have to go have Sunday lunch at grandma's house? Whatever it is, go ahead and plan it out so that you know the time you have available. Also, it's really important not to procrastinate. I know some people feel like they do their best work when they're under pressure, and that may be true, but at some point you're going to become overwhelmed, and you're going to need to try to kind of get out of the habit of procrastinating and just staying on top of your assignments and doing, little bits along the way so that it doesn't pile up on you. It's also a good idea to limit your distractions. So don't plan on doing homework somewhere where you have little brothers and sisters around. There's not TV going. Turn the music off, put your phone up, whatever you need to do so that you can focus and not waste time. Also, learn to prioritize. If you have 4 assignments due on one day, one is a just simple homework assignment, and another is a huge project that you've been working on for 4 weeks, prioritize that big project. Make sure that you have that done, because typically that's going to be worth more in the grade book than that homework assignment. Now, I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't do the homework assignment, but I'm just saying prioritize the important things first and make sure you get those done. Plan for the knowns, unknowns, and surprises. You never know what might come up. Make sure that you have time built in because you don't know when, mom and dad are going to say, hey, we're going to go over here for the evening and you had planned to work on an assignment. So make sure that you're planning, everything that you can think of. So expectations for homework, 3 to 4 nights each week, you should expect to have homework. Some might be cooperative assignments. In Google, you can share documents and work on these things together. Make sure that you're very clear from your teacher the difference between working cooperatively and cheating. Okay, so sometimes you're going to work on assignments together, and that's okay. It's not okay if somebody does the work and then you shares it with you and you copy it down and turn it in as your own. That is running along the lines of plagiarism. So when you're copying somebody else's work and claiming it as your own, that's plagiarism. So in high school, it's going to be a much bigger deal than it probably was in middle school. And partly the reason is we want to prepare you for college, and they take it extremely serious in college. So it's just not allowed, and you can be penalized for cheating. Make sure you schedule time for homework. Again, cut out your distractions. Remember, sleep is extremely important. I don't want to hear that you stayed up until 4 o'clock getting all your homework done. Work in small breaks. That way you don't get overwhelmed. Sometimes you might have a night where you have, a lot of homework. Don't try and push through it all. Take a little break, let your mind rest, and then get back to it. Also, keep in mind if you know you're going to be out for an absent, if you're going to be leaving school early, maybe a field trip if we have field trips, make sure that you plan ahead and let your teachers know that you're going to be out. A lot of times they're going to want you to turn in those assignments the day before you're out and not give you or want to have those assignments turned in days after you return. So just make sure you clarify that with each teacher. Stress. So things that can cause you stress. Um, Academics, social life, extracurriculars, your family, your health. Make sure that you recognize what those stressors are and then make a plan to reduce those stress. So, if it's academic, stay on top of your work. If it's social, be mindful about the way that you're exposing yourself to things. Limit social media if you need to. Extracurricular activities, it might be time to take a step back from, taking on so much at one time. If you have family stressors or health stressors, make sure that you're reaching out to the appropriate people so that you can get help for those issues. One thing that really helps reduce stress is good time management. Another is getting enough sleep, eating a healthy diet, utilizing a STEM student support system. There are, upperclassmen who are more than welcome to talk to you about, their experience and help you make sure that you're being as productive as you can and getting the most out of this and doing well. Also, peer tutoring, also having realistic goals. It's important to realize that a B is not failing. Understanding 80% of content is not a bad thing. You might be used to making all A's, and you might find this is the first time you make a B, and it's okay. We don't want you to get overwhelmed and stressed if you make a B, because we don't look at that as failing. You're still doing a very good job. Again, be your own advocate. Speak up for yourself. If you're struggling, talk to somebody, make it known. If we don't know that you're struggling, we can't help you the way that we would like to. So make sure that you're speaking up for yourself. Sleep. How much sleep do you need? 9 to 9.5 hours of sleep. So our classes start at 7:30. So what time do you need to get up in order to get here on time? For a lot of people, that's 6 o'clock in the morning. To get the recommended amount of sleep, that means you would have to go to bed at 8:30. Now I realize with different activities you have going on and homework, that might be virtually impossible. So what I want you to do is just keep that in the back of your mind and don't stay up beyond when you have to. I know sometimes you want to get caught up on TV shows or watch videos or whatever, but you need to be mindful that it's extremely important. Many of you are still growing. Your body needs a sleep, your brain needs to rest, especially with these vigorous classes. Signs and symptoms of sleep deprivation: yawning, moodiness, fatigue, irritability, depressed moods, difficulty learning new concepts, forgetfulness, inability to concentrate, lack of motivation, clumsiness. If you realize that you're having some of these symptoms, just be mindful of how much sleep you've been getting, and maybe you need to make that a priority if you start to notice some of these symptoms. Nutrition is also very important. Signs and symptoms of poor nutrition include feeling tired, mood and mental health issues, easy bruising, slow immune response. Um, One thing that we found, a lot of times students will come in and they'll have something that's really loaded with sugar in the morning, and it just doesn't do well for their bodies. You need to have a well balanced meal for breakfast: some protein, some fat, some carbs. What happens is those carbs are burned very quickly. And so then your blood sugar drops and you feel that urge to, eat more, or you start feeling a little lethargic or not feeling well. And so it's really important that you have a good meal for breakfast, not just a cinnamon roll out of the vending machine. So just make sure that you're mindful of that, as well as the sleep and everything else, so that you can do the best that you can do. Okay, so that's all that I have for you guys. Again, my name is Miss Platt. My email is aplatt@effingham.k12.ga.us. If you have any questions, I want you to feel, comfortable emailing me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and I look forward to seeing you soon.